Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. We continue to explore folklore and tales and all that good stuff on this Friday the 13th. And this morning I want to welcome poet and author of the collaborative book Tales of Root, Silk and Bone, which actually brings together 50 plus voices of Trinbagonian authors incorporating their personal experiences, art, poetry, photography and even short stories. I want to welcome Britt Mc Hugh. Good morning, Britt.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
So happy to have you on to discuss this. I mean, you've collected this, this collaborative book. You've done this collaborative book of short stories, of poems. What inspired you to do it in the first place?
A little bit of what the other persons have talked about, that, you know, to preserve it for future generations. In my circles, because I grew up in Port of Spain, I found that people didn't talk about folklore anymore, and I kind of wanted to bring that back, especially because the way that I connect with the country's culture and everything is through their mythologies and through their folklore. So to be able to do that for our country, I thought was something that I really, really wanted to do.
Was it difficult to get everybody on board?
Actually, no. I find a lot of people are always willing to talk about folklore, and if they had experiences or even if they were inspired by it, it actually was very easy to kind of lead from one person into the other and get people to be a part of it.
And it's all connected. All right, so let's get into some stories one time. We wasted no time this morning. The first story, is it Stained Pink, if I'm not mistaken?
Pink, yes.
So you're gonna give us a synopsis, or you're just gonna get into it and we'll talk about it after?
I'll just get into it.
All right,
why not?
Let's do it.
When Hanalei was 17 months old, she was bitten by a sukuya. While out in the garden just after nightfall, Hanalei's mother had seen the sukuya, a predatory ball of flame with the haggard visage of an old woman, hovering near their home. She immediately screamed for her husband Larry and ran to the kitchen for the bag of salt she used to line the windows and doors before bed, keeping sukuya, jumbi, and similar nocturnal pestilences at bay. As she rifled through the cabinets, she heard a shrill cry from Hanalei's bedroom, where she was asleep in her crib. Seeing the 2 vampiric punctures on Hanalei's plump thigh, her mother knew that all she could do was soothe the pain of the bite. She didn't have any children's pain relief on hand, so, winging it, she crushed a generic paracetamol tablet, mixed a little of it into a bottle, and fed it to the 17-month-old. A short while later, Hanalei became limp. Frothy spittle gathered at the corners of her mouth. Her pupils rolled in dizzying arcs. That was when her mother realized that the tablet had in fact been a 3-milligram dose of haloperidol belonging to Larry, a diagnosed schizophrenic who suffered vivid hallucinations. Though Hanalei slept for nearly 3 days, waking only to eat, the doctors blithely assured Hanalei's mother that the baby would be fine, if completely out of it for a while. Yet Hanalei's mother always said that something about that night of the sukuya had changed her daughter for good. Whether it was the bite or the haloperidol, no one could be sure, but Hanalei was different. Something in her blood or her circuitry, her heart. At least, that's what Hanalei told me. I often wondered, long after we had done what we did, whether that far-fetched story was her attempt at absolution. Could I really use it to explain away her sins of madness? And if I did, then where would that leave me? What was the reason for my madness? Decades later, I'm still sure that her mouth drove me to it. That mouth, full, vulgar, and permanently stained pink.
That's a twist on the sukuya. I did not expect that twist.
Yeah.
Nice. So, okay, so we've been using folklore as stories, right? But these stories are meant to not just pass on from generation to generation, but it's meant to teach you lessons, yeah?
Yes.
So in this story, what's the lesson in this story, Britt?
I don't know how much there's a lesson. Like, it's more about how, in this story particularly, which Carolyn Mackenzie wrote, it's a story about people and like what they do and probably what they do for love. And I find that actually that a lot of people, when they submitted the short stories about the sukuya, it was the sukuya really and truly that really inspired them to write short stories, I should say, more so than any other character.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so much behind the sukuya. They like you can take so much and do so much with it, and because there's that little bit of a horror element to it, there's that little bit of a fascination element to it, that, you know, like peeling off the skin.
And the unknown aspect of it as well. Yeah.
So even when I spoke to people like Eric Lewis in Moruga, of stories of Sukiya in that area, he would mention that there was, you know, people who knew Sukiya in the community.
Yeah.
You know?
And they knew who the person was.
Yeah, exactly. So he gave 2 stories, one of which was someone who was dating a Sukiya and was like, nah, my girl isn't a Sukiya, what do you mean? And then to actually see her peel off her skin. And then there was another story of an older woman who was kind of living on the community. And they were like, that woman is in black magic, must be a Sukiya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so in the book you also have a bunch of art. And we have some of it that we want to put up here. If we run through it, you could just kind of give us an idea as to what it is. You see it up on the screen there. This one.
Yeah. Gabrielle Wilkes, her art piece Sukiya. It's made with enamel and clay, I believe. I can't remember.
All right, but it's meant to be the fire.
It's meant to be the fire. This is She Came in Fire by Stephen Curry, who worked with me on the book, actually. He took the photo and then did all the edits and stuff, as well as wrote a short story that goes along with this image.
Okay. Let's see. We also have this one here.
Ebenezer by Isabel Gomez Burke. It's kind of that idea of like how a Sukiya looks from the outside. That kind
This is with or without the skin?
This is with the skin, but
Okay.
like this kind of haggard woman.
Yeah. Nice.
This is Jumbi by Thomas Haskell. It's not quite a Sukiya, but I thought it was interesting with the candles on the shoulders.
It is very interesting. How did you find these people?
Honestly, just by talking to other people, and they would be like, I know someone who is interested. I know someone who has done art. This is Feed Us Fire by Sally. I met her in Grand River, actually.
Nice. Well, Britt, this is absolutely amazing. Tell us, where can we get access to the book?
So the book is available at Jungle Lodge Gypsy Caravan on Long Circular Road. It's also at Book Specialist, Paper Based, at Noir Coffee Lab, Scribbles and Quills. It's at Bold Print Bookshop, Kettle Brew Cafe, Craft Creators, Tales and Treasures, and then online at Carib Shopper.
Nice. Well, Britt, let me thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to mention that last piece that we saw up on the screen was The Mask of Identity.
Yes, by Shashia Strachan.
Nice. So we thank all of the artists who contributed to the book, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. And I encourage you to go and get the book. I think it's definitely one that you should have in your arsenal of folklore, because it's the tales of root, silk, and bone. Lots of stories, lots of images, lots of art, poetry. Thank you so much for your work, Britt.
You're very welcome.
Do enjoy the rest of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a quick break and come back with more on the Now Morning Show. Stick around.